So good morning from the garden. Now, this garden is brand new and I thought it might be quite nice to take you on a little bit of a tour. So it's literally just 7 weeks old. This whole space behind me was just grass 7 weeks ago. And we have created what's going to be a stunning edible vegetable garden. So I quite like the planting plan here, and you can see down here that I've done it on the diagonal, so I've actually sown everything in rows. Now these are more of my winter crops, so we're going to be harvesting from these through the winter months, but that's also given me space so I can plant my garlic in between these rows, because a few of these things really will kind of die off in the frost. But I'll share with you a few things that we've got here. So I've got a row of peas just down here. This is what I use for salads, just pick and then it will keep growing back again. Begonias, now I don't know if you know, but these beautiful little flowers, see here? Begonias are actually edible. Quite an incredible flower. They're kind of like the granny's favourite. Everybody, they've got a bit of a bad reputation, let's be fair. But for me, once I first tasted them, so I first had them at a farm in Hamburg, and I was like, oh my goodness, why are you growing those granny flowers? And the lady at the farm said, well, you need to try them. And honestly, if you actually taste one of these little beauties, I don't know if you can see there, they are like eating a burst of lemon. It's quite incredible. So something like a dessert, if you had a lemon cheesecake, you could pop that on the top. And I also think down here, they're framing my vegetable bed and I think they look really beautiful. So we've got peas, I've got some mustard here. Now this mustard is called Red Giant. It's a beautiful variety and it does what it says on the tin. It becomes a very big red giant. Now, really interesting because the flavour starts really subtle and then it really begins to build up in heat. So at the beginning, you can't really taste anything. And then suddenly you get this burst and fire of the mustard. And I also find it a really incredible plant because what happens is every time you harvest a leaf of the mustard, it's got this incredible adaptation. So it's thinking, why is this predator trying to eat me? I need to stop this predator from eating me. So what I'm going to do is every time I get a leaf picked, I'm going to make myself more spicy so that horrible human will stop eating me. Little do they know, this horrible human loves a bit of spice. So we've got some mustard there, however it has been eaten a little bit by the slugs, which is generally my biggest question. Honestly, if anybody really knew how to eliminate all the slugs on the planet, this bit of information would go viral. But sadly, there is no organic, 100% fail-proof cure. Chicory, this is a good one for the winter months. Little bit, what's the word? It's a little bit, the flavour's quite intense. Then I've got my chard. Now, every garden should have chard. I tell you why, because there's not many pests that want to eat it. When it's small and young, it's nice and delicate, so you can pop that into a stir fry. You can have it at this size straight into a salad. But the other lovely thing about it is quite hardy. So I can grow this all through the winter months and I will have fresh greens through the winter. It does get quite big, and when it gets bigger, the stems get much nicer and they're quite a nice one to put into stews, so you can braise them up and have a bit of crunch in there. More chicory over here. What else do we have? Oh, I've got another row of chard, more chicory, spring onions now. Oh, who doesn't love a spring onion? If you're going to grow spring onions, I say grow a variety that's a little bit different. So I grow Lilia, which has got a purple base to it and it's absolutely stunning on the plate. Let's go around here and see what else I have. I have also got some cress, Grandpa's cress down here. Over here, asparagus lettuce. So it's quite an interesting one. You pick the leaf, and you eat the leaf, and then what happens is you create this stem and it's like an asparagus, and then you can eat the stem as you would do asparagus. The leaves are lovely. I haven't got to the stem harvesting part yet, but I will share with you when I get to that part how it tastes. And then what else do I have? Oh, I've got a little bit of beetroot and some winter radishes. So again, this is in 7 weeks. But let's go into my new greenhouse. I've never had a greenhouse in my life. Now, I did have a greenhouse, but the doors didn't close and there was no glass in it. So really, technically, I suppose it wasn't really a greenhouse, but let's go and have a little look, because I've got loads of stuff growing in my greenhouse. So, check this out. Oh, if I can open the door. So in here, I've got a bit of an issue. I seem to have a little bit of a chilli problem. I'm a bit of a hoarder, so let's go through a few things. Well, let's start off with my fails, because yes, I am a gardener and I do it as a profession, but sometimes we have a bit of failure. Now, these are micro herbs, but I would class them as mouldy micros. They've been overwatered. Now, this is a typical example of overwatering, and this is what my partner and I are struggling with. I'm teaching him how to garden, and at the moment he's like, I'm just going to water everything all day, every day. But the problem is, if you overwater everything, they go mouldy, and you actually get more problems from overwatering than you do underwatering. So I'm still trying to fight the fight for reduced watering. Over here, I've got a little baby. I don't know whether that's a chili. My problem is I keep forgetting to label everything. I think this is I can't pronounce anything, so it's called a cochin. I will figure that one out later on, but it's a really lovely chili. This one is a lemon drop, so this will go yellow, and the lemony flavour is actually mad, because it's yellow, and then you get this lovely citrus burst from the chili. Now, this is my pepper. Because it's in a pot, it hasn't grown as well as it could have done. I've got some at work, and they are massive. And when hang on, it's really difficult to do that. So they are kind of this big. They're called Giant Aconcagua peppers, and they're from Nicaragua. Because I've grown it in a pot, they're slightly smaller, but I also really love, check that out, the colour of that. So it's green, but it's got this black kind of tinge to it. I've roasted them and they are really delicious. This is an aubergine, a little bit sorry really. Again, it's called Insoro Iwia. Probably pronounced that wrong again, but anyway, that's the label, Insoro Iwia, whatever. Hasn't fruited. I started it in February. Again, it's in a small pot. My ones at work are doing slightly better. Not sure if it needs a little bit more heat, a little bit more sunshine to get that to ripen a bit better. Oh, there's another Giant Aconcagua there. We also have this lovely orange chili. This is like fire. Can you see that? Nice orange one there. Really enjoyed growing these, and I've been stringing them as well. So I will show you some of the chilies, and I'll show you at some point how to string them. So I dry them through the winter, because obviously, as I said, I've got a bit of a problem with chilies. I've got loads in here, and there's only so many chilies one girl can eat. This one I've really enjoyed. So this one is kind of a little bit more of your daily chili, because some of the chilies I've been growing are so fireball that actually I don't want to eat them. But this is a really pleasant one. I've really enjoyed growing this one, and I've cropped a hell of a lot off of this. It's called Apache. So if you're going to grow chilies, I think this is a great everyday chili. Obviously it's coming to the end of the season, so they don't look as good as they did in the summer. And again, I feel a little bit of overwatering going on here. This is called the Basket of Fire. Again, it's coming to the end now, but it's got this really lovely difference in colour. So they kind of start off this lime colour with a little bit of purple. They go to orange, and then they go to red. I'm going to string all of these up as well. Now, let me share with you something quite spectacular. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? I saw you a second ago. You're hiding somewhere. Aha! Da-da-da-da-da. Now this is what you call an electric daisy. Now, it's called an electric daisy for a very good reason. It electrifies your mouth. Now, it used to be used as part of the toothache, to cure toothache. So you'd chow on one of these. Let me take one. I haven't had one for ages because they're actually really gross. But they're a good crowd pleaser for dinner parties. Or, you know, if your kids are misbehaving and you want to teach them a lesson, give them some of this. So basically, you start off and it's like, it starts off okay and then it just gets worse and just kind of makes your whole mouth dribble. Oh God, it makes me want to tingle. It's got a bit of a citrusy flavour as well. I mean, I strongly recommend, don't go for a Michelin star dinner. Ugh, I'm literally dribbling. And have one of these, first off, because it will kill it. I did do that actually at work, because I work at a 2 Michelin star hotel and restaurant. Sorry, I'm struggling a bit. And I made everybody eat it. But they'd had loads to drink and they'd eaten all their food, so it was all right. But it is a real party pleaser. But I do make all my guests eat it. And now I'm realising maybe I shouldn't do that so much. An interesting fact between you and me, don't tell anyone this because it's a little bit risque. Apparently, I had a guest and they said they were from Peru. This plant is originally from Brazil or Peru, can't remember which. But it's also used as a gel, like a tingling sensation gel. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But if you have guests that don't really have gumption and, you know, aren't brave, then you can also eat the leaf. And the leaf is like much more gentle. I'm still dribbling, it's quite gross. But it's really good fun. So if you have a dinner party, you put this on the table. Or just if you have somebody over that you don't like. Mother-in-law, I love my mother-in-law, so I wouldn't do this to her. But you know, just anyone. It's quite a fun one to grow. I sow this from seed. It is actually a perennial, but it's not a perennial in the UK. The reason for that is it would get frosted. So I'm going to try and keep this nice and safe in the greenhouse, and hopefully it might grow through the winter months. But I also have one at work which is self-seeded, because you can collect all the seeds and then re-sow them for next year. Now, this little beauty. This is called lemon verbena. I really need to pot it up because the pot's a little bit small for it. Again, this is not frost hardy. So you can plant this out into the garden in the summer months, but in the winter you need to bring it in because it will only go down to about 5 degrees. I know some people have grown it outside in the UK. It depends on what area, whereabouts you live. Is it nice and warm? Yes, great. Grow this gorgeous stuff all year round. Here in the UK, it gets quite cold. So I bring this in and I will store it inside in the winter, and then come summer, plant it out. Now, if I only had smell-o-vision right now, because it reminds me of my granddad. My granddad used to sit with a pot of lemon sherbet next to his bed, and he used to eat lemon sherbets, and this smells literally just like lemon sherbet. It's so gorgeous. This is its first year, so it will get much bigger. But to harvest this and bring it into the house as well as a cut flower, absolutely beautiful, because your whole house will smell like this stunning lemon sorbet. You can also just put one leaf into a cup of tea, and it's very calming and soothing. And when you smell it, you can understand why it's so calming and soothing. What else do we have going on over here? I think, this one's a cute little chilli. So it's very, very small. It's called Demon Red. And again, this is quite a nice one, I would say, for the plate. I need to harvest these though, because it's quite, it's very humid in here. So quite a few things are going a little bit mouldy because it's the humidity. So I need to cut all of these off. Wish me luck, because there's millions down here, and string them up, and then I can use them through the winter, or make quite a nice little chili sauce or a chili oil, something like that. But I need to make, if I'm going to do an oil, I need to make sure that they're fully dry first. Here I've got a few measly things growing. I've got some watercress, which I'm growing for pots here in the greenhouse because it's quite hardy and it will grow through the winter months. I've also got some cornflowers. So I will be pricking these out, and I will do a demonstration on pricking out and pinching out and thinning out, because I did watch somebody the other day and they were like, oh, I'm thinning out, and they were actually pricking out. And I think I would say nearly all of the guests that I have and that I teach, because I teach probably about 2,500 people throughout the year, I would say 70% don't actually know the difference between thinning out and pricking out. Not that it makes any difference, because, it's just a word, but, if you're reading something in a book and it says thin, that's a totally different method to pricking out. Anyway, if you want me to go through that, drop me a little comment in the commentsy bit below, and I'll get that set for you. I've also got some more chard, which I'm going to pop weeding. The last position was in my old garden, which was, I had about an acre of garden, and I'd planted a halo of tulips all around her. But every time I stood up, she'd whack me in the head. So yeah, she's a bit dangerous. She's quite hot though, isn't she? Now I'll show you what we're going to be doing for this section here. So the idea for this part This year for me has been super busy, and I've been so lucky